Right, so I am in Sárospatak in Hungary this week, teaching at the Reformed Theological Academy, which has been here since 1531, just after the beginnings of the European Reformation. It's amazing to think that this theological academy behind me here has been going since 1531. It only was not operable for a short period during the communist era, and for a few decades it didn't operate, and then reopened again in 1991 to serve the Reformed churches of this region of Hungary. So I'm here for the week and have been teaching mainly in dogmatics, what we would call systematic theology, in ethics, and in New Testament studies. So it's been wonderful to spend time with colleagues and with students around meals and classes and a worship service last night. Right, so I've left Sárospatak and I'm now in Budapest, as you can see. This is the Buda side of Budapest, and this is the Pest side of Budapest. And I have a day of sightseeing. Drop my bags at the hotel at the airport. I fly tomorrow at 6 a.m. to Bamberg in Germany, and so I have the day today to walk along the river, to head up to the palace, to the castle, and to see some churches and do a couple of sights in Budapest. I just so wish I could share this with my family, but anyway, these videos are here, and it's at least they can see the sights, and I'm glad that you're along with me too. So this is just about as good a place as any to record, right up here at the top of the castle. It was a bit of a walk to get up here. I saw a sign that said shortcut to the castle, but because I was eating an ice cream, I decided not to take it. But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic to be here in Budapest, and it's a stunning day. As you can see, lots and lots of tourists out here enjoying the good weather and the sights. And yeah, this must surely be one of those iconic sites in the world, the Budapest Castle. So a wonderful walk up here, a good little bit of exercise. I didn't take the reticular train. I used my feet, and yeah, had an ice cream on the way up. Now, one of the things that struck me on my visit to Sárospatak is just how important context is in framing the ways in which we make sense of our lives, and of course also in relation to our faith. And in particular, while I was there, I was just struck by the fact, firstly, that that particular Reformed Theological Academy dates back to 1531. I had the incredible privilege of being in their historic library and holding a book that was owned by Martin Luther that has his name. He wrote his name in the front of it. So I mean, it was just unbelievable to have that experience. But I'm also struck by the fact that it's not only our long history that shapes our faith, the fact that they are Reformed, but also the more recent history. And in particular, as we know, after the Second World War, Hungary came under socialist communist rule, and that had a particular impact on the Christian faith in the region. Not only did it impact the operation of the church, how it related to the state and to the people, what role it played in society, but it also strikes me that it affected the kind of theology that people find useful and helpful. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, in the context that I'm from, in South Africa, and certainly in some of the circles in which I move, both in Africa and in the English-speaking Western world, one often finds that more progressive theologians tend to emphasize the social aspects of the gospel. The fact that that the gospel demands of us a kind of care which emphasizes the importance of the community, that, for example, things like universal health care, the provision of a basic wage, that all of these things would be important things to safeguard the dignity of persons who perhaps have the least in a society. Interestingly, in my time in Hungary, I discovered that because of the history of socialism and the negative impacts of that particular social system on society, the consequences of that, which were still seen and felt in the community, people tended to be somewhat less idealistic about these sort of socialist or communist elements, because they'd experienced it in a very different way from the sort of idealistic ways that theologians and citizens, Christians in the West have. So whereas we tend to emphasize the need for collective agreement, for the opportunity to develop the gospel and the ministry of the church in such a way that it has more of a sort of social concern, and by social I really do mean the collective. In places like this, there tended to be more of an emphasis on saying that the individual must take responsibility, that there must be individual liberties and freedom, and that there should be some care and guarding against a silencing of the individual voice. And that at times aspects like socialism and communism could quell the individual creative spirit. They could end the opportunities that people have or want in order to achieve entrepreneurship and these kinds of things. And of course, that also has an impact on the gospel. So I must say it's been an absolutely wonderful experience to be here in Hungary, in Sárospatak, and now in Budapest. And next week I head to Bamberg, to the Global Network for Public Theology, which is taking place at the University of Bamberg, and looking forward to seeing many colleagues and friends there. But I am impacted again by the importance of context and the way in which context relates to theology. So history, social identity, and location. One last word before ending this video, just to say that my book, The Impossibility of Forgiveness, has just been published by Wipf and Stock in the United States, for which I'm very thankful. And I'll put a link to that in the show notes. So anyone who's interested in reading more about my work on the politics of forgiveness, you can do so by ordering it from Wipf and Stock or from Amazon.com. So remember, this is not a lecture, it's just a thought. And I'm going to head out and go and enjoy beautiful Budapest this afternoon. And if you'd like to be in touch with me, please do send me a note, either a comment in the show notes here or on Facebook, or you can connect with me via @DigitalDion on YouTube or on Instagram, or my website dionforster.com. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to catching up with you soon.